ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hi, this is Arlene and you're listening to our ASEAN Daily where we bring you the freshest news from Southeast Asia. First stop on our very beautiful Monday morning, I would like to share with you on the updates for the Myanmar general election. As everyone knows that the National League for Democracy won the largest majority for the recent election, and this put them as in line to be the next government for Myanmar. On the other hand, we also see minority ethnic groups praising NLD for its triumph. Karen Army or the Karen National Union, the Shan Nationalities League for Democracy and other political associations have congratulated the National League for Democracy on its landslide victory in Sunday's election. Vice Chairperson No Zipora Sen of the KNU or Karen National Union, which is a Karen Army group, congratulated Aung San Suu Kyi, the chair of the National League for Democracy, saying the people, based on desires embedded in their hearts for several decades, had elected a new government. He said he hoped the NLD would give priority to internal peace and national reconciliation. His organization would work with the NLD to establish a democratic federal union. The SNLD or the National Leagues for the Shan National Leagues for Democracy also congratulated Aung San Suu Kyi. Kokang Democracy and Unity Party in Shan State said the NLD victory was a democratic triumph for all ethnic groups. The 88th Generation Peace and Open Society praised the NLD and every other organization that participated peacefully on Sunday, adding that a national reconciliation and a peaceful transition must now be the priority. On the other hand, we want to update on what's happening in Malaysia. After the Paris attack recently, the Malaysia's IGP said that Malaysia is doubling security efforts for ASEAN Summit. Following the series of terror attacks on Paris, France, Malaysian police have put on high alerts with the coming ASEAN Summit. According to the Inspector General of Police, Tan Sri Khalid Abu Bakar said all police branches and divisions had increased vigilance to ensure the country remains secure. He also reportedly said the police are reviewing the security arrangements for the summit to be held at the Kuala Lumpur Convention Center, which will see the likes of world leaders like the US President Barack Obama, Russia's Prime Minister Vladimir Putin, Japan's Shinzo Abe and China's Xi Jinping, among others. They will not let our guard down, according to Khalid, was quoted saying the English Daily today regarding the intelligence report on the Islamic State's plans for the region. Moving on to a news in Cambodia. Cambodia's opposition leader Sam Rainsy faces arrest. According to the Sydney Morning Herald, that Cambodia opposition leader Sam Rainsy faces arrest if he returns to his country as early as Monday, plunging the impoverished Southeast Asia country back into political conflict. The regime of strongman Prime Minister Hun Sen has forced Mr. Sam Rainsy to choose whether to stay abroad or return and be jailed for 2 years on a 7-year-old politically motivated defamation charge. Tens of thousands of supporters packed the streets of the capital Phnom Penh in 2013 when Mr. Sam Rainsy returned from exile to flag an election campaign that his party claimed was marred by widespread vote rigging. Analysts say his arrest now would likely spark anti-government protests as the United States warned at the weekend of a deteriorating political climate in the country. A Cambodian court on Friday issued an arrest warrant for Mr. Sam Rainsy over an unserved defamation sentence from 2011, a day after Mr. Hun Sen threatened him with legal action after comments made by the opposition leader in Japan. Mr. Sam Rainsy has urged Mr. Hun Sen, Asia's longest ruling leader, to move towards a peaceful exit from power. In a Facebook posting on Saturday, a defiant Mr. Sam Rainsy wrote that the wind of freedom that is blowing throughout the world will also reach Cambodia in the very near future, a reference to last Sunday's landslide election victory by opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi in neighboring Myanmar. Moving on to Obama, he's set to challenge China at the Asia Pacific Summit. U.S. President Barack Obama is set to challenge China when Asia Pacific leaders gather in the Philippines this week, speaking out on the territorial role and lobbying to set pro-America trade rules. News by HongKongFP.com, Xi Jinping will also be in Manila for the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, or short for APEC Summit, an annual event that is meant to forge unity on free trade within the region. This year's meeting risks becoming entangled in various U.S.-China power struggles, including over the South China Sea, where Chinese island building in disputed waters had caused alarm in the United States and with its Asian allies. The global menace of terrorism will also be an unwanted talking point after gunmen massacred more than 120 people in a series of coordinated attacks in Paris. Philippines authorities have already undertaken their biggest security operation for the summit, which will gather leaders from 21 Pacific Rim economies on Wednesday and Thursday, but they vow after the French carnage to do even more. While China said it wanted the summit to focus only on trade, the French attacks and U.S. attention on the South China Sea show this was unrealistic, according to Curtis S. Chin, a former U.S. ambassador to the Manila-based Asian Development Bank. One cannot separate the economic and the non-economic in today's interconnected world. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll go to the economic side of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Welcome back. This is Arlene and you're listening to our ASEAN Daily. On our economic side, I would like to share on what's happening in Myanmar. The ASEAN Development Bank is providing $100 million of loan to upgrade a road in Myanmar. The bank will provide a $100 million to upgrade major roads in Myanmar, and the road, which is considered the missing link of the Greater Mekong sub-region's east-west corridor, will link Da Nang in Vietnam with Mo Lam Yin in the capital of Mon State and Yangon, said the Global New Light of Myanmar. Along with the ADB-assisted project, Thai government is separately supporting improvement to the road linking Ko Kerek and Myawaddy on the border with Thailand, while the section between Edu and the main Yangon-Mo Lam Yin highway is being rehabilitated through a government-managed build operation transfer concession operated by a private Myanmar company. The loan will be used to upgrade a 66.4-kilometer section of a two-lane road between towns of Endu and Ko Kerek in Kayin State, which will also be the principal crossroad to Thailand. The project is estimated to be completed by September 2019. And moving on to another deal being signed. This time is China and Laos signing an intergovernmental railway cooperation agreement in Beijing on Friday night, planning to introduce a modern rail line in Laos in 2020. Xu Shaoxi, head of the National Development and Reform Commission, China's top economic regulator, signed the document with Samsavat Lengsavat, Deputy Prime Minister of Laos, at a ceremony at the Tiao Yu Thai State Guest House. The countries have agreed to use Chinese technology and equipment to build a 418-kilometer line that will connect Kunming, capital of southwestern China's Yunnan province, with the Lao capital city of Vientiane. According to the agreement, the line will also start in Kunming and travel southwards to Jinghong and Mohan until entering Laos through the Lao border city of Botan. He will then travel past Luang Prabang and Vang Viet before arriving in Vientiane. It will transport passengers as well as cargo. The railway's average speed is set at 160 km per hour, and 60% of the line will be bridges and tunnels. China will be responsible for 70% of the 40 billion yuan, or equivalent to $6.27 billion investment, while Laos will be responsible for the remainder. Once it is operational, the line will become Laos' longest and fastest railway. Currently, the Southeast Asian nation has only one railway, which was opened in 2009 and links Vientiane with Thailand's Nong Thai. The project will be a significant boost the socio-economic development of Laos, improve the nation's transportation, and generate a lot of jobs for local people. Of course, it will also inject new momentum into the economy of China's southwestern regions. This is, of course, expressed by Wang Xiaotao, a deputy head of National Development and Reform Commission. He did not disclose when the line construction will begin, only saying that the construction of the Chinese section between UC and Mohan already began in January. Moving on to another news in Southeast Asia. Indonesia may face a rice shortage due to El Nino. Indonesia faces the prospect of a rice shortage largely because of a prolonged dry spell caused by the El Nino weather phenomenon, coupled with a delayed decision by the government to improve the staple of the country's reserve stock. This was reported by Asia One. According to Trade Minister Thomas Trikashe Lembong, disclosed this week that the government had secured only 1 million tons of rice, 500,000 tons short of the target for the year's end. We got only a small amount of rice at the soaring price. This is what he described to the Jakarta Post, addressing criticism about the delay in making decision on imports that had cost the country not only in terms of stock availability but also price. Indonesia was overtaken by the Philippines, interestingly, which entered the market early to rack in 1.5 million tons, higher than its normal purchase of around 500,000 tons to 700,000 tons annually. Indonesia secured imports at more than $400 per ton, higher than the prices of around $340 in the second quarter of this year, when the government floated the import plan for the first time. Indonesia is the world's fourth most populous country with 250 million people and has been importing rice to meet domestic demand almost every year since 1985. It had previously been self-sufficient for 16 years. Indonesians consume about 2.5 million tons of rice every month. The Jakarta Post noted that it is a politically sensitive commodity in the country because it is the main food staple as well as farmers' main crop. We will take a short break. When we return, we'll discuss further on the socio-cultural side of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. first and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Good morning, this is Arlene. You're back with me again on ASEAN Daily. On the socio-cultural side, I want to highlight something that is really unique and interesting in the Philippines. Is about a unique exhibition of gold artifacts from the Philippines dating back to the 10th to 13th century, capturing the imagination of the public in New York. This was reported by Pakistan Today. According to the news, besides these unique artifacts from the pre-colonial history of the Philippines, the collection of gold ornaments, decorative items and other objects bearing a strong Hindu-Buddhist cultural influence also casts a different light on the history of the Philippines. Not much is known about the history of the nation before the Spanish conquest led to the country being a colony for 400 years. Many scholars, researchers and historians now say that the collection promises to herald a completely new understanding of the Philippines' history. The exhibition, Philippine Gold, Treasures of Forgotten Kingdoms, opened in mid-September at the Asia Society in New York. The Philippine Consul General in New York, Mario De Leon, also was invited to a preview with the media, told Weekend Review that the exhibition was the biggest Philippine event of its kind to be held in New York. The first time that the gold artifacts are shown outside of the Philippines. Some experts have gone to the extent of comparing the intricate gold work to the collection showcased the exhibition of King Tutankhamun's tomb in his treasures. An exquisite piece is the Kinnan vessel from Surigao, designed as half woman and half bird. It reflects the Indian mystical Kinari, a celestial female with wings and legs of a bird, personifying beauty, grace and accomplishment. Another masterpiece is a heavy gold cast court that denotes the existence of the prosperous upper class with a strong Hindu cultural influence. And then there's a lotus ear ornament from Butuan, belt buckles from the Mindanao and burial ensembles from Diet and elsewhere. According to Florina Capstrioni Baker, she is an expert of pre-colonial Filipino art, also told the Weekend Review that we ourselves were not aware of the Philippines' Hindu past. As the gold artifacts here suggest, we have strong links with the Hindu culture in India or through Bali, Indonesia. This culture was ubiquitous in the Philippines. The period before Spanish colonialism was a de facto erase from the Filipino consciousness. She cited similarities between the custom, culture, architecture that were prevalent at the time of Southeast Asia. The economic implications will also be immersed. By highlighting and depicting the past, we can attract tourism from countries that will have an inherent interest in such artifact, adding that it will appeal not only to Hindu and Buddhist tourists from India, Japan, Singapore, South Korea, Taiwan, Malaysia and Indonesia, but also from the West. Moving on to another news in Indonesia. Indonesia considers, interestingly, building a prison island guarded by crocodiles. And you thought this only happens in Peter Pan's movie, but not really. Building and then running a prison is not a cheap operation, regardless of where it is in the world. According to Geek.com, the material required to create multiple secure environment, the training and paying a large team of prison guards and support staff all adds up. You also have the problem of trust. Can people you employ be trusted not to accept bribes and smuggle things in for the prisoner? Hence, in Indonesia, according to Budi Waseso, he believes he has a solution to both the cost and an unknown trustworthiness of prison staff. His idea is simple: build a prison on an island and then use crocodiles to guard it. Indonesia is renowned for having very strict drug laws and drug traffickers, which can result in death penalty for their crimes. It's these death row convicts we Seso believe should be placed on the island prison and guarded by crocodiles, which he said would surround the island because, well, you can't bribe the crocodiles, right? Although it's just a proposal for now, work is underway to decide on a location and construction schedule. If it gets built and stop prisoners trying to escape or smuggle illegal items into the prison, then he's sure it will be copied elsewhere. However, in order for it to work, the death row prisoners would have to self-manage the place to a large extent. Adding guards as well as crocodiles still allows the potential for bribes to happen. Unfortunately for the prisoners who end up on this island prison, Indonesia is home to the Indo-Pacific crocodile, otherwise known simply as saltwater crocodile. They are the largest species of reptile, reaching up to 1,360 kilogram in weight, 6.3 meters in length. They are the most dangerous crocodile and will take down any prey that enters the water. You wouldn't want to consider chancing up close encounter with one of them. And another news from Southeast Asia, we move on to East Timor. Flavor of homegrown coffee spreading beyond the country of East Timor. A small seafront coffee shop in the East Timorese capital is doing a roaring trade in locally grown coffee. At the 13C Cafe, customers can enjoy a wide selection of menu along with a view of the white sandy beach. Bags of 250-gram beans at a price of $3.5 each are also selling well. Coffee was originally brought to the country by Portuguese during colonial occupation, but despite it becoming one of the country's key export crops, until recently, few places in the young Southeast Asian nation existed where people could enjoy a good cup of coffee in a relaxed atmosphere. All that changed in June last year, however, when Letofoho specialty coffee roaster was launched by the Peace Winds Japan non-governmental organization. The shop is now taking on the task of promoting East Timorese coffee for both domestic and overseas markets. According to one diplomat at the Japanese embassy in Dili, I have a cup of coffee here every morning while I take a walk. Customers are made up of staff from the foreign embassies along Avenida de Portugal and locals who stop by on their way home from work. Sometimes as many as 100 people visit the cafe a day. The business aims to make their beans a well-known fair trade product sold at a price accurately reflecting labor costs in the producing country that helps to build independent and sustainable communities. That's all from our news today. Thanks for listening to Durian ASEAN, and you can always catch us on the go via your mobile by downloading the Durian ASEAN app at your mobile app store. Of course, you can always catch us and chat out with us on our social media in Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Have a great day.